What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be talking about the 10 things that you might not know about the Beretta M9 or 92 pistol. But first, I want to thank my Patreon supporters. We do a giveaway every month for guns and gear related items. If you want cool stuff like the Magpul PRS stock, which we'll be giving away this month, all you got to do is become a supporter. I also want to thank ammo.com. I'll leave a link in the description below for $20 off an order of $200. Just click the link if you want to save some money and help out the channel. And I also want to start a new giveaway on my Instagram. I'm going to be giving away an Ontario Rat 3 this month. So if you want to join, all you got to do is go over there. It's free and you can enjoy some cool pictures and have a chance to win a cool knife. Let's start out here with number 1.
Welcome to the party, pal!
The M9 is a double single-action pistol that employs an open-slide, short recoil delayed locking block system. That's a mouthful. Partially taken from the famous Walther P38. It is a semi-automatic pistol, most of the time, chambered in 9mm, invented in 1972 and adopted by the US military in 1985. It replaced the 1911 as the standard service pistol in the US military. It has a 5-inch barrel and weighs right around 33 ounces. Even though it's most commonly in semi-auto, there's actually a 3-round burst version called the 93R. It didn't catch on to be as popular as the 92, but the 93 sure does look like a lot of fun. Number 2, during the US military XM9 trials, the Beretta beat out a bunch of very well-known names in the firearms industry to become the US military's next sidearm. Some of these guns were the Colt SSP, HK P7, FN High Power, Steyr GB, SIG P226, the Smith & Wesson 459, and the Walther P88. The two left standing at the end of the trials were the SIG P226 and the Beretta 92. Although both pistols actually passed all the tests, the 92 beat out the 226 based on cost of the firearms, but the SIG not being a sore loser, it ended up being in service as well with the Navy SEALs as well as other Special Forces groups. Some of those groups are still using it today. Number 3, the US military adopted the Beretta M9 not because they were interested in changing the pistol, even though the 1911 had already served 74 years prior to the Beretta, but to adopt the 9mm cartridge to comply with NATO Standardization Agreement 4090. The love for the 1911 pistol was still there long after the M9 in many units. In fact, some military units still use the 1911 until last year, and many special operators, guys who can choose their own firearms, still choose the 1911 as their personal choice for a secondary weapon.
You think I'm crazy? Yeah. You calling me crazy? You think I'm crazy? Yeah, you want to see crazy? I'll tell you.
Now that's a real badge. I'm a real cop, and this is a real fucking gun.
Number 4, the Navy SEALs reported a series of potentially life-threatening issues with the Beretta. The M9 pistol program ran into some trouble in September of 1987. The slide of a civilian model Beretta 92 pistol fractured at the junction where the locking block mates with the slide. The broken half of the slide flew back into the shooter, a member of the Navy Special Warfare Group, and injured his face. In January and February of 1988, 2 more military model M9 handguns exhibited the same problem, injuring 2 shooters from the Navy Special Warfare Group. All 3 shooters suffered lacerations to their face, 1 suffered a broken tooth, and 2 of them required many stitches. Because of this, the Navy SEALs reported the problem up the chain and possibly to certain media sources to get the problem fixed. Beretta did actually fix the issue, but also sued the Navy for leaking the information about the slide separation causing the injuries. Number 5, there are a lot of Beretta M9s and 92s in the world, to say the least. With over 3.5 million sold throughout the world, it is one of the highest selling firearms in history. But it's not just Beretta that makes the 92, in fact there's been a few copies around the world as well. A large contract for Beretta 92s did go to the Brazilian Army, for which Beretta set up a factory in Brazil. The factory was later sold to the Brazilian gunmaker Taurus, and Taurus started making pistols called the PT-92 without a need for for a license from Beretta since their design was based on the original Beretta 92, whose patents have since expired. It's easy to tell the PT92 from the Beretta counterpart because of the safety mounted on the frame as opposed to the slide like the original. Lots of people, including myself, actually prefer the position of the safety on the frame because it causes less malfunctions. However, Taurus guns are also known to be less reliable. That's one of the reasons why Beretta has still remained on top. Turkish companies like MK, EK, and Gershon manufactured a copy of the Beretta 92 known as the Yavuz 16. France has made licensed copies of the Beretta known as the PAMAS G1. Taiwan makes Beretta-like pistols named the T75. South Africa makes the Vector Z88. And Egypt has also produced Beretta 92s under license as the Helwan 920. However, it differs from the 92 because the magazine release button is on the bottom of the magazine. Sounds a little inconvenient to me, but whatever works for them. Number 6. The Beretta has made its way into pop culture as much or more than any other handgun. It has been in more iconic movies than any other pistol that I can think of its era, and still to this day you can't go to a movie with firearms without seeing it somewhere on screen. I grew up watching it kick ass throughout most of my childhood in movies like Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, RoboCop, and Under Siege.
Good speed. Have you resolved the situation?
Not yet.
However, the first movie to use the Beretta 92 was A Better Tomorrow starring Chow Yun-fat. Number 7. Most reports in Afghanistan and Iraq about problems in reliability with the M9 pistols are actually traceable to the magazines. Until recently, the magazines for the M9 were produced by Metgar, a very well-known magazine manufacturer. The military decided to go with Checkmate instead to make the magazines for the M9, but the new magazines are not made as well and are extremely sensitive to dirt and sand. If you consider the place that the troops are using the M9 is almost completely sand, that makes that decision a pretty bad idea. Now, this isn't all Checkmate's fault. The Army actually requested a phosphate finish instead of the blued finish to save money, and that caused more dirt and sand to stick to the inside of the magazines, causing most of the malfunctions that you hear about today. Number 8. Although Beretta is an Italian company, the M9 is actually made in the USA, and many 92s are made in the USA as well. And although subject to much debate, there is really no difference in quality between the Italian and the US 92s, despite what the internet might tell you. Number 9. Beretta doesn't just make pistols, it actually makes all types of firearms, and it has been making them for a while. Quite a while. In fact, they are the oldest operating firearms company in the world. Pardon my pronunciation here. Maestro Bartolomeo Beretta was a master barrel maker living in Gardone. In 1526, Bartolomeo was paid by Arsenal of Venice to make 185 arquebus barrels, making the Beretta company the oldest firearm manufacturing company in the world. Incredibly, the bill of sale from 1526 is still in the company's archives today. Number 10. The Beretta M9 does have a reputation for being unreliable after its military service. One of the reasons besides the magazines is that some of these firearms have seen 200,000 rounds or more with the original slide and frame, and people have failed to change the recoil spring, which can lead to all sorts of parts breakages, timing issues, and reliability issues. If the spring becomes too weak, it can batter the frame, so the newer Beretta M9A1s actually have a buffer to prevent these issues. It's really hard to blame Beretta because most guns today wouldn't even go through 200,000 rounds, especially without proper maintenance. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends. Also, I leave a link to a local homeless shelter in the description below. It's a youth shelter from Ames, Iowa. They could really use your support. Click the link in the description and it'll bring you right to the donate page. Below that's going to be my Patreon account, the link for ammo.com's in there, and the link for my Instagram account if you want to be a part of that giveaway as well. Please help out your local homeless shelters and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.
Call your watch captain. Sergeant Dennis, call your watch captain, please.
Have a nice day.